Agreed to, and I give the call to the Shadow Minister for Early Childhood Education and Shadow Minister for Youth and the member for Moncrieff.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Those on the other side of the chamber should be ashamed of themselves that their cabinet ministers are not here in attendance today. Under the last coalition government, cabinet ministers, the education minister was in this chamber for consideration in detail. It shows the arrogance and the hubris coming out of the Albanese government that those cabinet ministers are not here, and for the consideration in details before this as well. It's an absolute disgrace. What I will say is it's been 12 months since the Albanese government came to power, and unlike the Prime Minister's repeated promises, I haven't actually met an Australian, and especially an Australian in my electorate of Moncrieff on the Gold Coast, who is better off under this government. And they keep saying it, but it's not actually true. Electricity bills have skyrocketed, grocery, petrol costs have increased substantially, and the cost of sending your children to early childhood education has increased. And we've just heard a bit of a spray there from the member for MacArthur, is that right? He's talking about how children have equal access and how there's 900 children on a waiting list in one centre. That's right. Waiting lists are growing around the country. I have centres in my own electorate where there's waiting lists of 400 children waiting. And just coming out of Melbourne just now, Victorian families are being turned away from childcare because of critical staff shortages. With demand for spots higher than ever, a survey has found 2/3 of centres had to cap placements earlier this year. So centres are actually capping their placements and their enrolments. So what is coming out of this Albanese government around early childhood education is simply not what's happening across the sector. The last time Labor was in government, the fees increased by 53%. 53% in just 6 years. And out-of-pocket costs have already increased in the last 6 months, that's half the time they've been in government, by 6.5%. And we're seeing this increase all the time. So what this means is their lack of management around inflation has now actually put at risk that $4.7 billion bill that they put forward for cheaper childcare for families across the nation. And that will not come to fruition because it'll all be wasted because centres will put their prices up, which we're seeing, cap their enrolments because they don't have the educators, and families will lose that subsidy. If you're a family living in a thin market or a childcare desert stuck on a waiting list with no early learning centre in your area, you'll be in exactly the same position come July 1. So I ask the Minister, will you commit to Australian families that fees will not increase and that children actually will be able to have access in regional areas and remote areas in particular around the country? The government has no idea what they're doing. They have no real plan when it comes to the early childhood education sector. We can see that from their 23-24 budget, which contained pretty much rats and mice for the sector and nothing to address the increasing number of concerns that are being raised weekly with me. Sure, there's a $72.4 million package for educators to receive training, but it's only for 80,000 places, and there are over 200,000 educators in the sector right now, and they're telling me that they are under great pressure across the nation as I meet and have roundtables across each of the states. It will basically be a lucky dip of who gets to go to that training and undertake further training and who doesn't. It's a bit of a slap in the face for educators who work tirelessly to look after our children. And if the government is so committed to supporting educators, and we know they love to use them when they stand up at a centre every other day for those media opportunities, always in the cities, never in the regions, possibly because there's such a lack of infrastructure that there's nowhere to go to actually do a presser on early childhood education. They need to start building some centres in some of these areas. And while we're on this topic, given there's such a shortage of educators in the sector, how are centres going to be able to backfill? And I asked the Minister, how are centres going to be able to backfill and allow their staff to go and participate in training? Where are they going to get the staff to do that? Well, they won't be able to get them. This package promises opportunity, but with the workforce to backfill, educators will simply be stuck, especially those, as I said, living in regional and rural communities where there are no educators to spare, because Labor simply don't care about regional Australia. They don't care about remote Australia. There will not be one extra new place in regional and remote Australia for for families that need to put their children into early childhood education. They've always, those on the other side, failed to understand that regional communities are the backbone of this country. And absolutely. A few more questions. What about families who don't work the traditional 9 to 5 hours? What are they going to do for those families? What is the government doing for them? I ask you, Minister, what is the government doing for families who cannot access?
The Shadow Minister's time has expired.